This is the December 4th reorganizational meeting of the TE School Board. I call this meeting to order. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America. This evening, I convene this meeting representing the senior holdover members of the board as the temporary president. At this time, I will administer the oath of office to our newly elected board members. Will Roberta Hotinsky, Todd Kintorsik, Susan Teedy, Kenneth Hong, and Rachel Wheel please join me at the front of the board table. Please raise your right hand and repeat the oath after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth, and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. Two of our board members are new to the office. Would either of the newly elected board members like to make a comment at this time? It is not required.
I would briefly. You know me better than that already, Robert. When I moved here in 1992 to TE, and I think beginning in the fall of 1999, I had a child in the TE schools. And through all the years that I watched her go through the school district from kindergarten through right here, through graduation from Conestoga, and through all the years that I saw the opportunities and resources that were available to her, I never dreamed that there would come a time when I would be charged with the responsibility to help preserve and enhance those opportunities and those resources for the kids who are in TE right now and the kids who are coming up who will be in TE. I am thrilled. I am honored. Can't wait to get to work with this terrific group and Dr. Gusick to work for the kids and the parents of TE to justify the faith that the voters have shown in me, and I thank you all. I'm thrilled.
First of all, I want to thank my wife, Agnes, who can be with us today, my three boys, who are, and my many friends. I wouldn't be here without them. I look forward to working with this dedicated group of public servants on the board and in the district to address the complicated issues about which our community have told us that they really care about. We talked to a lot of people over the last few months, and we want to work on the issues that directly impact our students and families, like the need for all-day kindergarten and overcrowding at Valley Forge Elementary School. I'm honored and really thrilled to represent Region 2 and all the members of our community on the Tredyffrin and Easttown School Board. Thank you.
I will now take public comment, limited only to the election of officers. 2 additional public comment periods will be provided this evening. One before the consent agenda is considered, and one for all other matters of concern, official action, or deliberation, which are or may be before the TESD Board of Directors, and which are not covered by the other comment periods. Each public comment period is reserved for residents and taxpayers. Additionally, the board will accept comments from sitting public officials for non-campaigning purposes and by agreement with the TEEA and TENIG. The board will accept comments from the union presidents as well. All comments should be directed to the board as whole or to the presiding officer. No comments or questions should be directed to individual board members, and all comments and responses should be in the spirit of appropriate civil public discourse. All public comments this evening will be limited to 3 minutes. Please make your entire comment, and then the board will determine the appropriate response. The school board values the opportunity to hear from the community in person and appreciates your cooperation in advance. At this time, comment is limited to just to the election of officers. Is there any public comment as to the election of officers? Step forward. Name and township of residence, please.
Good evening, Hans Van Mall, Tredyffrin Township. I just wanted to say congratulations to the newly elected board members and to whomever the board decides to elect as leadership. I know that we can have our faith in you and that you will serve with dignity and civility. And as the chairman of the Tredyffrin Democratic Committee, I could not be prouder to have you up there. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments regarding the election of officers? Seeing none, that comment period is now closed. Next will be nominations are now in order for the office of board president. Are there any nominations from the board?
Dr. Singh,
Yes, Ms. Didi.
I am so very happy to nominate Todd Kantorsek as president of the TE School Board, and I'd like to put his name into nomination.
Mr. Todd Kantorsek has been nominated for board president. Are there any other nominations from the board? All in favor now of closing nominations signify by saying aye.
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 Sorry, guys. I need a motion to close nominations. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor of closing nominations signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Nominations are now closed. Since there's only one nominee, Policy 9131 calls for election by written ballot. Since there's only one, a roll call vote can be taken if Policy 9131 is suspended. I need a motion and a second, and then a positive vote to suspend Policy 9131 and to conduct a roll call vote in lieu of written ballots. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Ms. McDonald will now conduct a roll call vote. Oh. All in favor?
Okay.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries, and we'll ask Mr. McDonald to conduct a roll call vote.
Thank you. I'm going to start with Dr. Allen,
Yes.
Ms. Audrain,
Yes.
Mr. Hong,
Yes.
Dr. Katinsky,
Yes.
Mr. Kantorsek,
Yes.
Ms. Piccioni,
Yes.
Ms. Titi,
Yes.
Ms. Weil,
Yes.
Dr. Singh.
Yes. Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Would the newly elected board president like to make a comment?
Sure. Thank you. I'll have a short comment. First, I am honored and humbled first to have been reelected by the community to serve on this board, and then chosen by my new and, let's just say, more experienced board colleagues to serve as president. As someone whose mother and grandfather who turned 100 this year, who served on a school board. I know the direct impact a school board director can have on the local public education experience. And as a parent of 3 kids who have gone through this district, I also know how important that experience is for all the members of our community. Even after 2 terms on the school board, I am energized and looking forward to tackling with this board the important upcoming issues that we know about, as well as those currently unknown issues that will invariably come up during our board service. So, let's go to work. Okay. Next on the agenda is the election of the vice president. Nominations are now in order for the office of vice president. Is there someone who'd like to offer a nomination? Yes, Dr. Hadinsky.
I would like to enthusiastically nominate Mrs. Sue Teedy for vice president.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations from the board? If not, we'll go through this exercise again. Is there a motion to close nominations?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. With motions on the table, all in favor of closing nominations, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, the ayes have it. Motion is carried and nominations are closed. So now that we only have one nominee, Policy 9131 calls for election by written ballot. Since there is only one nomination, a roll call vote can be taken if Policy 9131 is suspended. I need a motion and a second, then a positive vote to suspend Policy 9131 and to conduct a roll call vote in lieu of written ballots. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes 9-0. Mr. McDonald, will you now conduct a roll call vote?
All right, I'm going to start with Dr. Allen again.
Yes.
Ms. Audrain,
Yes.
Mr. Hong,
Yes.
Dr. Hatinsky,
Yes.
Dr. Singh,
Yes.
Ms. Audrain, Ms. Piccioni,
Yes.
Ms. Teedy,
Yes.
Ms. Weil,
Yes.
President Kantorsik.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously, 9-0. Thank you.
Okay, so we are now to this. Would the newly elected vice president like to make a comment?
Yes, briefly I would. I'd like to thank my colleagues here. I can't think of a better, more dedicated and caring group of people to work with, and I really look forward to that, as well as working with the administration, with Dr. Gusick and the knowledgeable and dedicated administrators that we have here in our district. I'd like to thank all the voters. I was thinking about this today, that when we have municipal elections and school board elections in Pennsylvania, they're in the off years. And in our community, the people did not take off. They didn't, they came. And in fact, I looked it up. There are 23,629 people who live in the TE School District who came and voted on November 7th for a school board member. And I want to thank them for exercising that civic responsibility. And I think it goes to just how dedicated and involved and caring our community is. And that's what makes it such a great place. And I'm really humbled and honored to have this responsibility. I look forward to it. And I also can't end without thanking all my family and friends, and especially my husband, who has been such a supporter and so understanding and patient during this whole process. So, as Todd said, let's get to work. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll continue on with our meeting. Next item on our agenda is announcement of additional agenda items. We have none. So we will move on to the next item, which is public participation from district residents and district taxpayers regarding items on the consent agenda. The next item on the agenda is public participation from district residents and district taxpayers regarding any items on the consent agenda only. If you would like to make a comment on the consent agenda, please line up. When you come to the microphone, state your name and township of residence. We will end comment with the last person in line. So would anybody like to make any comments on the consent agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda, which is our next item. Although board action is required, it is generally unnecessary to hold discussion on these items. With the consent of all members, they are therefore grouped, and approval is given in one motion. In the event a board member wants to discuss any item, the board president will move it to an appropriate place on the agenda. A board member may vote nay or abstain with respect to a consent agenda item without the need for removing the item from the consent agenda. The action under consideration is that the board directors approves the following recommendations on the consent agenda as printed on page 4 of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion passes 9-0. Okay, we have no gifts to announce this evening. Our next item, we also have nothing on the priority discussion. So the next item is our committee and ambassador reports. I don't believe we have any. We've had any committee meetings since. We see here we've got the next committee meetings here printed on the agenda, so I don't feel like we need to go. Right, unless somebody wants to say something as a previous committee chair, if they want to say something about their committee, but I think we can just go through this and show the people that are what our next committee items, meetings are. So, everybody?
Yes,
Yes,
if I would,
Ms. Gioni.
since it's not printed, for the Intermediate Unit Technical School, the Chester County IU, the next meeting will be on Wednesday, January the 17th, at 7:30 at the Brandywine campus in Downingtown. Thank you.
Okay. With that, I think we move on to the next item on the agenda, which is other actions under consideration, which we have none at this point. And then we go to our next item, which is public participation from district residents and district taxpayers regarding any non-agenda matters of concern, official action, or deliberation which are or may be before the board. This is the time when residents and taxpayers may address the board on matters not included on the agenda. So if there are folks who want to make a comment, now is the time to step forward.
Good evening, Jay Joyce from Tredyffrin. The last meeting I was kind of limited to 3 minutes. I didn't quite get my whole thought out, so I just wanted to try and do it a little more succinctly. But there's been, as far as I know, and there still is, a question about the book, This Book is Gay. And when I looked at the book, I found what I consider to be objectionable sexually explicit material in Chapter 9. Yet that book made it into our high school library and is available for minors. I'm sure there are other books about being gay that don't have sexually explicit material that would accomplish the same goal and be appropriate. Per the suggestion of this body, I submitted books as suggestions to be included into the library, and these books were Up from Slavery by Booker T. Washington, The Boy Crisis by Warren Farrell, Please Stop Helping Us by Jason Riley, 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson, Black Rednecks and White Liberals by Thomas Sowell. 5 months after I submitted them, these books were all returned to me with no explanation as to why they were censored. So how does a book that has sexually explicit material make it in our school, yet the books I submit get censored? So I'm asking for an explanation as to why the books I submitted are being censored. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Joyce. Mr. Roos, can you give an update on the one book that Mr. Joyce was talking about?
Yes, I can. First of all, I believe Mr. Joyce used the word censored. That's not correct. That's not what the word censor means. Just because a book is not put in the library doesn't mean the content of the book is being censored. As far as the review being conducted by the review committee regarding This Book is Gay, the committee has met multiple times. They're accessing extensive professional resources. They have been meeting with professional organizations, which has, to some extent, presented some scheduling complications. They are proceeding with all deliberate speed, and they expect to have their report done within weeks, not months.
Thank you, Mr. Roos, and I would concur with the idea that we're not talking about censoring books or books that are presented to the library for possible inclusion.
My question isn't about This Book is Gay, it's about the books I presented.
And we just provided a response that indicated. All right, thank you. All right, anyone else have any public comment?
Good evening. Gina Arlen, Tredyffrin Township. Well, thank you. I'm short. Tredyffrin Township and member of Defense of Democracy. Just briefly, I support and I believe, I'm doing this a little bit off the cuff, that the reviews in question will be in, I support our educators and librarians and all others who have been called to help our children become critical thinkers, and I trust that they will make the right decision for our children in regards to any and all books available in the Tredyffrin libraries. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment this evening? Okay, seeing none, the public comment periods for this evening are now closed. This is the point in our meeting when we make any announcements required by the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act. Our solicitor this evening is Ken Roos, and he will make any required announcements.
Yes, actually there was no executive session on December 4th today at 6 p.m., contrary to what the agenda says. There was no executive session prior to this meeting, and there has not been an executive session since the last board meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Roos. So with that, our future meetings, Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024, we have a regular board meeting, 7:30 p.m. here at Conestoga High School, 200 Irish Road, Berwyn. And then the next meeting after that, Monday, January 22nd, 2024, another regular board meeting, here again, 7:30 p.m., here again at Conestoga High School. Do we have any general announcements? It doesn't look like we have any general announcements. Correspondence that the board has received is listed on page 29 of the agenda. Now is the time for any other announcements from board members, if we have any. Okay, seeing none, we're at the adjournment section of the agenda. Do I have a motion for adjourn?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed signify by saying nay. All right, ayes have it. We are adjourned. Thanks everybody for coming. We will see you in January.